Now, rehab. Now, this is just the American way of describing any kind of renovation, repairs or maintenance work. Now, really, the ease of finding a tenant is the main consideration for renovation. So what you want to do is renovate these properties to such a level that it's going to make it appealing to a person to live in, but you don't want to overdo it so that you're overcapitalising and really like eroding your yield. Do only what needs doing. Then there's this whole issue of structural versus cosmetic. Now, it's my personal view that you shouldn't be getting involved in property where there are any structural damage or things that need doing, purely because the risk associated with the cost can really blow out. I'm much more interested in houses that might need some basic cosmetic work, but nothing much more than that. In the foreclosure market, the sort of state of the properties that you're looking at can vary massively. So what that means is you can get homes that need virtually no work all the way through to homes that need a complete renovation in terms of kitchen, bathroom, so forth. Your job when you're purchasing properties over there is actually to see and figure out how much rehab you're prepared to do. So, you know, if you're buying properties that are very run down, then obviously they're going to be cheaper, but there's going to be more work done and you're going to have less competition as well. If you've bought a property where there's little to no rehab, then you may have to do still some minimal rehab if the property's been sitting vacant for a while. Then you've got properties that need no work whatsoever and you can start tenanting from day one. Now, you can see by just doing a simple walkthrough that you can get a pretty good gut feel as to how much work needs doing. When you're just starting out and you're investing in the US, I'd be looking at getting at least three rehab quotes for any particular job. Now, the clearer you are on the goals of what you want done when you get your rehab done, the easier it's actually going to be. I would be really specific. I'd be specific about the timing that you want, the standard that you want, and all your expectations about how the job's going to get done. Now, as your basic standard for rehabbing, you should really be looking at your Section 8. Now, that will tell you at a base level what they will require if they're going to allow you to put your property into the pool for Section 8 tenants. We're actually going to cover in step 5 when we talk about building our team how we actually go about choosing someone to work with. But I guess the idea with this is do the basics and don't be emotional about it. You don't have to live there, so you don't need a granite kitchen. I would actually be meeting the contractor and determining the work before you actually commit to the purchase. So this is what we were talking about earlier. Should you skip the process of actually going and inspecting the property yourself? And the answer is no, especially because you want to get someone in there with you who's going to tell you how much it's going to cost to fix up. I would draw up a schedule and then I'd agree to sticking with it. I'd make sure you get a written quote. Now, one of the things that I heard from a number of investors is that if the house is in somewhat of a state where there's a lot of stuff that needs throwing out, get in your mini skip or your dumpster up front and clear out the house before you even start your work. Now, that can actually create a lot of efficiencies in the way that the rest of the jobs can get done. Repair the roof first. This is obviously because if you're living if you've bought in a climate where it occurs wet weather, then you're going to be preventing any of the rest of your rehab work from being damaged. You want to make sure you check your major systems before you start other things. So check your plumbing, your air conditioning, also check your electricals. Burst pipes are a huge problem in the colder regions, and if you don't get those checked up front, then that can actually cost you money down the track, especially if you're doing any kind of plastering work or things like that. Heating systems are crucial. The bottom line is if you've purchased a house in an area that experiences cold weather and it's not working, then no one will want to live there. You need to decide whether you need to replace the system or whether you can actually have it serviced and just live with what's there. So I've already said make sure your electrical systems are actually working as well. We talked a little bit about basements in that last clip, and the bottom line is that basements are a real value add for tenants. So plastering, or they call sheetrock, make sure that that's done only after all the major systems are actually sorted out. You do your carpeting and floors last. You want to minimise that. Now, carpet is actually a very cheap commodity or good in the US. So if you've got a property where the carpets are maybe a little worn out, I'd actually consider replacing throughout because it's not a big cost. Make sure you do not forget to schedule a professional clean. The bottom line is you want your property looking as good as it possibly can by the time you actually start showing tenants through. But what I would say to you is shop around. I've seen some quotes for cleaners which vary quite a bit, and you want to make sure that you're getting someone who's specialised in this kind of work. If there's any landscaping, which hopefully with most of the properties that we're looking at you wouldn't have, but if you do have that, you want to make sure that happens last.